Hey everyone, Steph and Superfloof here. Welcome back to our channel where we dive into the powerful world of the Power Platform. If you're aiming to learn more about the Power Platform or just looking to enhance your skills, you're in the right place. Today we're excited to show you a project, a real-world use case that we've been working on. It's an employee separation app leveraging PowerApps, Power Automate, and for fun we're going to toss in some Teams adaptive cards as well. This app integrates a range of advanced functionalities to make the process more efficient and less labor intensive. We're going to utilize modern controls for a very sleek user interface. We're of course going to apply multiple filters on the gallery for users to quickly find what they're looking for. We're going to use Teams adaptive cards for instant manager notifications and to make task completion easier. We're going to transform multiple select combo boxes into multiple select checkboxes, and we're going to perform lookups on multiple data sources in the app. This app was designed with the goal of reducing manual work and improving the overall efficiency of the employee separation process. Throughout this video, I'll give an overview of all the features, and in future videos, I'm going to be doing step-by-step tutorials on each one of the components. Let me know in the comments which areas you'd like me to do first. But don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button on my channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any updates on my latest Power Platform tutorials. Let's dive in and see how these features come together to create a powerful and user-friendly application. This real-world use case is one that I'm sure is very common across many industries. An employee, if they decide they're going to separate from the company, physically walks to their manager's desk and asks them for the separation form, which I'm sure is just a great conversation to have. They go back to their desk, fill out the form, take the paper copy to their manager, who fills out their portion, and then walks it to HR. Now, HR not only has to do their portion, but if the employee has been with the company for a certain span of time, then there were manual calculations that HR had to do as well. This HR individual would literally get out a calculator and make these calculations by hand with every single individual. Not a very good use of their time, is it? This app's purpose in life is to streamline the entire process. The employee gets notified via email that their separation paperwork has been received, and the manager gets a Teams notification leveraging adaptive cards that notifies them of the relevant details. We can go into See Separation Details, and that'll take us directly into the Power App leveraging deep linking. With one click, the manager is able to go directly to the Power App and that record for that employee's separation and complete their portion. They can mark the reason for separation, they can assign it to the relevant HR person, as well as leveraging some conditional formatting on whether or not this employee should be rehired. Let's dig into how this is built. First, let's look at the modern controls that I've implemented in this app. These controls offer a sleek and intuitive interface, making it easy for the end users to navigate. But it also makes our lives as developers so much easier. Now, leveraging modern tabs, we can use containers and have all of our data in one place, making it easy to reference with each other so that you get the responsive design you like, as well as making the maintenance of it easier because you have all of your information in one space, leveraging containers to break it up and show or hide depending on the tab that's selected. In our app, I'm leveraging a collection for the tab, and I can select here or come to the drop-down and go to Items. And this collection I am creating on the on start of the application. So if I expand this out, here we have our different tabs and the order that we want them to show up in. It's hard-coded in, but for this use case, it's an acceptable one because they didn't anticipate this changing anytime in the future. One of the other key features is having multiple filters available on the gallery. Let's go look at that next. I'm going to minimize this, holding the Alt key on the keyboard, going back to our main gallery. And here we're able to select different items depending on what the end user is looking for. Now I want you to notice that this screen looks a little off. If I hit play, here's our responsive design coming in. Department will expand to fill up the space it's given, and will give the end users a better interface. Now let's select a different status. These are all the statuses that are available in our app. If I click on HR in progress, you'll see we have 2. I have a reset button. If we look at the drop-down for departments, this list is dynamically generated from the departments that have had employees submit their separations. This is a very large organization. They have quite a few department codes. If I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling, we don't want to show all of these in a Power App. We just want to show the ones that are relevant to the separation app. And I'll show you how we did that. Let's go back into the bones of the app and look at the drop-down. This drop-down is from a collection again. You're starting to see a theme here. Collections are how you can capture your data as the app loads and leverage it throughout the app in multiple spots. I'm going to click on App, and again we're going to go to On Start and then expand out my window. You'll notice I have everything notated, annotated, and commented so that my coworkers don't hate me. We have a bunch of different variables in here. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and here we're getting our departments with the separations. And I cannot spell, and one of my biggest pet peeves with PowerApps, I understand why they did it, but there's no spell check. I mean, having spell check in code could get very ugly, especially when you're leveraging things like collection names like call departments. I understand, but I can't spell, so it's very frustrating. So make sure you check yourself. I'm sure your coworkers would understand that one. But here we're making a group of data. And in my vernacular, I like to preface collections with call. So we have call departments. And then if we start the inside and work our way out, we're grabbing from the separations SharePoint list. All the data in this app is from SharePoint. You could leverage Dataverse or SQL if you wanted. Please don't use Excel or Access, though I think you could if you really got creative. And from there, we're getting the distinct values from the department column. Now, if I were to just pull that, the departments, let's minimize this, these departments would come in whatever order we had in the app. It's not really what we want at all. So then I am sorting by columns, I'm sorting by the value column, and I'm sorting by ascending. Now, this looks a little ugly. Let me show you a trick. You can hit Format Text, and it'll clean up your code for you. So as we click on department here, I can come down to the bottom, click the caret, and there are my values. If I select the data source separations, and do the same thing, this will give us a glimpse into the entire data set and help us drive our code as we go through creating our collections and our variables. Another thing that I highly recommend that you give your end users is the ability to reset the drop-downs. You want them to be able to navigate back to what they're looking for with one mouse click. Now, how are we doing these drop-downs? Let's click on the gallery and expand out the code here. We are filtering on the separation app from the combo box status. Remember, name your items so that your coworkers don't hate you. We're saying the status value, the value from the drop-down, equals the status value, which is a choice field in the SharePoint list, or the combo box status value selected is blank. So if it's blank or something selected, those are the two variables for that. And we're also going off the combo box department.selected.value. If that equals the department, which is a single line of text within the SharePoint data source, or that combo box is blank, then we're filtering by those two variables. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to get more into the galleries and filtering. We could add more combo boxes here if we wanted. We could do adequate notice, we could do resignation, separation types, all of these things. One other thing I like to show you here is adequate notice. You'll notice how if the employee gave adequate notice, it's green or it's red. All of this we can do within the app, leveraging all the different things. You can do this within the front end or the gallery or the tabbed view, wherever you like. Makes it very user-friendly. In here, I want it to be very clear that this is a person who did not give adequate notice. So we're doing a switch statement, which is a variation of an if, on that value. Now let's expand this code out because I find one lines of code a little bit hard to read. So let's click Format Text. There's also a remove formatting. If your mind works differently than mine, Microsoft knows not everyone thinks about things the same way. So let's click Format Text. And as we click through the formula, you'll see how it's helping me. It's telling me what we're doing and where. So we're switching on what? We're switching on this value, this item, because it's a gallery. We're switching on this item, adequate notice.value. That's because that's a choice field in the actual SharePoint list. So if it equals yes, then we're doing the color.green. And if it equals no, the color is red. Those are only two choices. I could put in here, if we had other options, I could put a default. If there was nothing there or NA or something else, we could have it be purple. There we have the start of a user-friendly gallery to make it easy to navigate all of our records. Now let's look at the actual form that the employees use to submit their data. I'm going to play the app. And let's start and look at what we have happening here. I have the title field dynamically capturing who's filling out the form and the date. That way we remove the chance of any shenanigans, right? You don't have one employee submitting a separation form for someone that they don't like, for instance. Now, here we have the employee number. In this organization, employee numbers may not be accurate in Active Directory. So for my demonstration here, I mirrored this. Again, this is my dev tenant, so all data is false. So I'm going to exit out of the preview and let's look at the code we have here. I'm going to expand this out and I'm going to hit Format Text. So the logic here is, if this form, and this is a new form, the form's default mode, let me show you that here really quick. The form mode is set to default mode of new, which means every time this form loads, its first time is going to be new. So if the parent.default, if this field is blank, and that's just my standard, I don't have to do this in a new form, but this is what I do everywhere for consistency's sake. I am looking up against a list that I'll show you here in a second of employee IDs. That's the data set. It's a SharePoint list. And I'm looking at the employee email and I'm comparing it to the user that's logged into this app's email, and I'm capturing the employee ID from that, and then I'm populating it. And if it's not blank, then parent.default. Again, you don't really have to do that in a new form. It's just I do that for consistency's sake. So here we have that data set within SharePoint. Again, for this use case, everything is SharePoint lists. So we're comparing employee email. Let me do this. If the parent.default, if this record, which it'll always be blank, is blank, then pull that list back up. Then what we're going to do is look up to my SharePoint list. And the SharePoint list is called employee IDs right there. We're going to take the column employee ID and do a lookup against that list of the user that's logged into this app. And then from that lookup, we're going to capture the employee ID. If this wasn't blank for some reason, then it would give us what was there before. So we're capturing the employee number by default. Here we have some more logic. In this use case, the manager that's in Active Directory may or may not be accurate. So we didn't want to lock this field the way that the employee number field is locked. So we are giving them the option to change this. So the items are from the SharePoint list. It's a people picker column. But what we're doing is if we come up and we look through the items for this field and go to default selected items, we're capturing from Active Directory who their manager is according to Active Directory. I'll just leave this sitting here for a second. Actually, I'll put the code for this in the chat if anyone wants to have it. I'll have it there for them. So that is who Active Directory has as their manager, may or may not be relevant. Date of notice, last day available for work, all straight from SharePoint. Now let's get into this section here. I'm going to play the app. Here we have multiple select checkboxes. Now these are filtering back to a choice column within SharePoint. Let me know in the comments if you want me to get into the details of how I did this. Let's scroll down here. The short answer is I'm leveraging a gallery, and then within that gallery I have checkboxes, and within that checkbox I'm leveraging the data source, which is the choices for reason for leaving. Now there's more to it than that. If we go and click on the checkbox and go into advanced, When I select the checkbox, I am adding it to a variable. And you can see the logic here. Let's start at the inside and work our way out. I'll make it a little larger and I'll format the text. So when this checkbox is checked, I'm setting a variable. I'm going out and I'm filtering the gallery's items by the value. And then I'm only showing the one value. So if I were to only filter the gallery by that, and we look at here, I have checkbox and I have value. For this, all I need is value. So I'm filtering and I'm only showing that column. So if I select this bit of code, you'll see how it breaks it down for me. And now if we look at var employee separation, that's the variable, you can see all the checkboxes that I've checked. If I minimize this code, the uncheck is the exact opposite of that. When I uncheck the checkbox, all of those items, that item is removed from the collection. Now there's more that you need to do. You need to set a default for this item. And also we need to set a variable for resetting the checkboxes so that things get cleared out when the form loads next time. And we call that variable, the reset checkboxes, on the onVisible. And that's where we toggle them from reset box to true or false, and that'll clear out everything when the screen loads. Now you'll notice we have an other option here. Let's play the app. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. If we select other as the reason for leaving, we get an other reason for leaving, and it's required. In a paper form, if someone just says other, you can't force them to do it. We can force them to do it here. We can force them to give us all the information we need so that when they submit this form and the manager gets notified via Teams adaptive cards, which is next, have all the information that the manager is going to need to proceed with his or her portion of the separation. Here we have the employee details in the modern tab control. We have the details that the employee submitted and it's locked. So forwarding address 1111, dummy data. But here we have the manager's portion of it. He or she has their own checkbox sets. They have other comments. And then would you recommend them for hire or not? We can again hold their hand and ensure that we get all the information that we need. Now let's look at what happens when one of these separations gets submitted. The very first thing that I always like to do is let the person filling out the form know that something has happened. If you don't give them some sort of feedback, they may think that it didn't go through and they may submit it 3 or 4 or 5 times. So here we have the first step of it, and that is sending an email. Some verbiage here. Let's look at the Power Automate and what's going on. And the reason I'm showing you the notification email and the adaptive card in the same portion of this video is that I have it as one flow. I like to keep my flows condensed and in one spot so you have one source of truth. So in our Power Automate, or flow, whichever way you look at it, when an item is created, so when one of these separations is submitted, we're sending the email. And as I scroll down, we're updating the status within SharePoint. We're tracking all of this in SharePoint. We're updating the status to manager in progress, which means the manager has been notified that they have to do something. Now we're creating adaptive card. Now adaptive cards are an amazingly wonderful, powerful tool, and let's look at what that looks like here. This is with dummy data, an example of what this adaptive card could look like. This is what my use case had. You can customize it however you like. Let me show you how you do that. If you go to adaptivecards.io/designer, this is what you have. This will show you how to create or how to get the code that you're wanting in a GUI interface. Now this is a bot framework web chat, and there's a couple things you have to be careful of here. You need to make sure that when you're creating adaptive cards, you're selecting it for which version you like or which version you're leveraging. This is going to be Microsoft Teams. And at the time of this recording, 1.4 is the one that'll work. But that's just changing this default style. Let's go up here to the left and select new card. By the way, I'll put the URL for this in the comments as well. Here we have all of the different adaptive card templates that have been provided for us. If one of these use cases work for you, great. If not, let's just start with a blank card. The GUI makes it really easy to do. Let's enter a text block. Let's enter some input text if we wanted to capture information from an end user. We could add an action set. And what this means is the different buttons. So if we look at my adaptive card, we have see separation details and mark as complete. Those are both action sets. If you want me to create a video specifically on the separation form on creating this adaptive card, let me know in the comments. Let's go look at the code for what we have here. So if I go back to Power Automate, Flow for this one, we have an adaptive card. And I'll put this in the comments too if anyone wants it. Again, I highly recommend that you go out to adaptive cards because at the time of this recording, 1.4 is the one that works. That may not be accurate when you get to this. So we're doing a text block. Employee separation notification is the text. Let me split the screen here really quick. Okay, here we have it. It's an employee separation notification. It's just text. Who created it? We have a column. We're capturing the employee display name, when they created it, and we're leveraging some code in here for date short. Subtle is true, which means it's this gray color. Now as we scroll down, we have some text describing to the manager what is going on here. And the user that submitted it is employee display name, and then my personal preference, you could have 5 Joe Smiths at your business. There's probably only going to be one Baron Marshall, but you could have 5 Joe Smiths. So I like to give the username and their email so you have a one-to-one relationship. You know who you're talking about. So what did Baron do? He submitted his employee separation notification effective Monday, July 3rd. You see the difference in these two dates. I'm formatting the date here, and I'll hover over this for a sec. In a completely different format than I have the date up here. This is the created date short. Many different ways to skin the cat, if you will. Don't tell him I said that. Many different ways of doing things. Now we're getting facts. So we have a table here. What happened? Employee name, value, last day available value, employee number value, department value. There's a bit of a hiccup there. It's fine. And then we have some text, and then we have the action sets that I showed you over here, the different buttons. The see separation details. This is a deep link into our separation form. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video on deep linking. That will take them directly to this item in the Power App. Now, I haven't filled this out all the way, but we could allow the manager to mark it as complete from here. We could allow them to do all the steps they have to directly from PowerApps, just to show you the art of the possible, if you will. So if the manager clicks on this, they're taking directly in the Power App to this record for this employee, and they can do their work, making it so simple and easy. Plus, if we go back in the gallery, we're able to see where everything is in the process. We could see who it's waiting on, all of these different variables in our gallery, making it easy for the end users to see what's going on, HR and managers to track where it is in the process, visibility and accountability for every step of the process. Not a paper form that someone takes to their desk and maybe coffee gets spilt on it, gets forgotten, someone goes on vacation. This gives us visibility. And that's a quick overview of the Employee Separation app. This app combined multiple advanced functionalities to streamline the employee separation process, making it more efficient and less manual driven. Less likely to have coffee spilled on it, less likely to get forgotten, all of that fun stuff. Remember to leave a comment if there's a specific feature you'd like to see a step-by-step tutorial on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts, questions, and any topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Sharing is caring, so don't forget to share this tutorial with your fellow PowerApps enthusiasts. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep rocking PowerApps like a true pro. See you in the next video.